All right, guys, welcome to the Team Panacea call. We do this call every Monday night at 8:30 Central Time. This is your go-to place to get hooked in, to say hi to other people, see what's going on. We're going to have guest speakers on from time to time, like tonight, and then you'll hear some news and tips, and we'll do just a little bit of recognition too. So, like I said, we're gonna be shifting away from instant presenter. So we'll kind of tweak this thing as we go. But to start off with, for Team Panacea numbers, we have 3,028 in Team Panacea as of today. So congratulations, guys. You guys are killing it. 102 people added in the last 7 days. That's badass. So the top recruiters for this week are Allison Flynn with 4, Dory, who I think is on the call, Dory LaBianca with 3, and Lauren Malk with 3 also. Congratulations, ladies. Girls are killing it. And, that's what it takes. 3, I say 3 to 5 coaches to build a successful business, and these ladies are knocking it out in a week. So, if they're doing it in a week, then the rest of us can certainly do it in a month. It's also the last day of August, okay? So we have until 11 p.m. Central, okay, midnight Eastern, to get those last points in, to make sure that you did your team cup right and you did your part. You also, for all of you new diamond, or not new diamonds, but new emeralds, for you coaches, if you have new emeralds who are making Success Club for the first time, you want to make sure that they've got yeses in all the right spots, okay? You want to make sure they've got a profile, they got a before picture. It can be the same picture, right? One of mine on my CBC it's both me in a suit on a cruise ship, right? It doesn't have to be anything special, but you need a bio, and of course you need to be a club member too. And you're a club member if you started with a challenge pack and you didn't cancel it. So, but check for your yeses. And the other thing that I'll tell you on top of that is you've got 5 days to make sure that people are getting leads that are supposed to. After that, you're just SOL. You're not getting the leads, okay? But we have a few days after the month starts to make sure that your people are qualified for leads. And if they're not, you need to send that email in now and get it figured out why it is that that's not working. And it's not a bad idea to get that incident number and then shift that up the chain to whoever the 5-star in your upline is, so we can maybe double check that and just reach out to coach relations and make sure that we deal with the A team and get it done right to begin with, so we're not still working on things on the 18th trying to figure out why you're not getting leads in the month. Remember, Success Club 5 get you customer leads, Success Club 10 get you Shakeology leads, and that's basically free money, both of them. I was a customer lead for my coach, and he does very well off of the volume that Team Panacea brings into his organization. And so you never know what you're going to get. It's like a little scratch-off tickets. But that being said, I want to welcome everybody to the call. We have a really special guest this evening, buddy of mine that it's been cool to, I think the first time I was really exposed to him was he was on a national coach call. I don't remember when, but it seems like you were at a gym or watching your kids in gymnastics or something like that. I remember that part about it. But he's actually in Monica's downline. Monica is, of course, my mentor and my upline. He's cross-line from us, but we're all still part of the same family. Great guy, lives out there in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I spent a little bit of time myself when I was a teenager. And he's going to be talking to us tonight about speaking candidly and honestly to people and showing them that they can be leaders really no matter who they are. And, he's going to be, he knows what he's talking about because he's an 8-time combined Beachbody coach. He's an 8-time Beachbody coach. He's a combined 8-star diamond and 3-time elite coach. There's not a whole lot of 3-time elite coaches because each year it gets harder and harder and harder to repeat. So, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. So with that being said, I'm gonna throw it over to Todd Midgett, and thank you, Todd, so much for being on the call and sharing some of your some of your family time with us. I know this is late for you out there on the East Coast, but thank you for that. And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and just give you the floor, brother.
Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's funny because you're actually going to be part of my story tonight. So, it's funny. Mike Ryan, who we both are very good friends with, did a call for our team the other night, and he said something that I really, really liked. He said, being 3-time elite and star diamond and all that stuff, it's just a title outside of the world of Beachbody. It really doesn't mean anything. All it means is that we were consistent and that we showed up. And for me, what's interesting and what I wanted to talk about tonight, it's funny, like whenever you talk on a call for another team, or you're doing a team call for yourself, or you're doing a Super Saturday, for me anyway, and I don't know if you're like this, Chris, but it's like whatever I seem to be struggling with at the time is what I seem to talk about, or it seems to be what's on, what I feel the most passionate about. So we were at Summit this past year, and Chris was behind us, and they were sitting in the row behind us. And, I don't know how many of you that are on this call were at Summit, but they did this long parade of all these star diamonds, like 1-star, 2-star. And this thing lasted forever. And I just remember looking at Chris going, man, we're going to be here all night. But then I started noticing the other thing was that Chris and all these elite coaches that were around me were sitting there taking pictures of all their star diamond coaches as they walked across the stage. And I wasn't. And I left this year's Summit with one of the most eye-opening experiences I've ever had. And we drove from Charlotte to Nashville. So it was a 7-hour drive back. And my wife and I spent those 7 hours really examining our business and really doing some soul searching and some candid talking about where we were, why we were where we were, and where we needed to go and what needed to change. And we realized that we've been in this business for it'll be 7 years this October. And you're always going to have peaks and valleys, and your business is going to have the ebb and flows and all that stuff. But we realized that, being a 3-time elite coach is that we had kind of gotten into a rut of leadership to where we weren't being the leaders that we needed to be for our team. And the coaches that we had at Summit, we had a team meeting at Summit at some restaurant, and I told everybody there, I was like, this is the last year that I want to be on the field sitting in the elite section and not see anybody on my team walking across the stage, and number 2, not see anybody from my team around here. And as much as I love Chris and as much as I love Darren and Danielle and some of these other coaches that I'm friends with, I watch these teams with these little cliques of their own coaches in the elite section and at the elite reception. And so it was a direct reflection on me and what had happened to my leadership skills over the last year to year and a half, to where I realized I needed to give myself a swift kick in the ass and come back and start doing the things that I knew I was doing a long time ago. And so I'm sharing that story with you because I don't want some of you who have been coaches for 6 months or 6 years to remember this night, so that if you ever, when you're here a year from now and a year from now and a year from now, that you don't allow your business to fall into this trap. And so here's some of the things that we took away from this summit, which I don't know if I said this already, but I called it the best summit and the worst summit that I've ever been to. And I've been to all of them except the very first one, because we signed up just right before the very first summit. And so that was the only summit we hadn't been to. And this was by far the worst one, but yet the best one. We came back from summit and I started realizing that we had tried to recreate the wheel too many times, and that we were not being candid enough with our coaches and calling them out on the stuff that we need to be calling them out with. We had this mentality in our team that we were friends with our coaches, and we have a very strong family culture, because Monica, as you guys know, Monica Ward, that's how I was raised in this business. Monica and Dave raised me to be part of the Fit Club Network family. And Monica and I are very close. And it's funny, you were talking about customer leads. I was a customer lead of Monica's. And I remember when I got assigned to her, this was before Facebook and everything else, I almost switched to another coach because I didn't think that this chick in Phoenix at the time could help me get the results with P90X that this other guy that I found through the message boards could. And I'd already put in my letter or email or whatever to get switched to this other guy. And then Monica reached out to me, thank God, and we hit it off, and I stuck with her. And the guy that I was going to switch to is no longer even a coach. Like, Beachbody gave him the boot. He's gone. And so I'm really glad I stayed with Monica. But we were raised in that culture of being families and friends. but I realized that I did not have the candidness to really help our coaches. So when we got back from Summit, I was like, okay, we're going to start a coach basis group, and we're going to do it by the book. We're not going to try to recreate it. We're not going to try to change it. There's no reason to. Like we were in a bad habit, and David changed some of the stuff with the Fit Club Network to where he created his own Coach Basics and his own 7-day training. And it's easy to get caught up in the trap of trying to change things and make it your own and redo it, and you can to a point. But I think what we've seen since we got back from Summit is we just stuck with the Coach Basics. We started it, we started doing the VATs, we started doing the personal development, and we started doing everything the way we used to by the book. And we started watching the VATs from our coaches, and we started being candid with them. And on the Coach Basis call, if they had bad numbers, we were like, okay, what's going on? Why are you having the bad numbers? And I see a lot of women on this call, and I want to just share this because this is something that I see on our team a lot, is that a lot of women, especially, their why they got in this business is to help their family, or to bring their husband home, or to bring themselves home, or to do things for their kids or whatever. But I see women a lot of times use their families as an excuse for why they don't get their numbers in, or why they don't do the things with their business that they need to do. And so we had to work with some of that and help them understand that it's all about time management. It's all about structuring. It's all about really doing these things by the book and getting back to basics. And since we've done that, since we've been back from Summit, no lie, Chris, our checks have gone up probably at least $300 to $500 a week in that short of a period of time. I don't know how many weeks it's been since Summit, but just from that Coach Basis group, just from plugging back into my team, just from making sure that the people that are actually going to meet me halfway that I'm there for them, that I'm helping them. And this thing about leadership, and the other thing that we're realizing with this Coach Basis group is that a lot of people feel like they can't be a leader because they only have a team of 1 or 2 coaches. And I'm telling you guys right now, I don't care if you got 1 coach on your team or you got 3,000 coaches on your team. If you can, and I think Tara Carr or somebody said this with the presentation that you were a part of, Chris, is that if you can't be a leader of 1, how are you going to be entrusted with a village? Like, you've got to learn to lead that 1 person, whether you have a challenge group of 1 person or you got a challenge group of 50 people. And when I realized that and I heard that at Summit, I was like, all these light bulb moments. It's things that I already knew. It's things that I just forgotten or lost touch with. It's things, and that's going to happen to every single one of you on this call. You're going to go back and read Jim Rohn. You're going to read John Maxwell. You're going to listen to the National Wake Up Call. You're going to hear Chris say something for the umpteenth time, and you've heard him say it over and over and over again, but for whatever reason at that particular time in your business, it's going to click and register. And you're going to be like, now I get it. Now I finally understand. So that's why it's important to go to Summit every year, because even though you hear a lot of the same stuff, things are going to register every year. Whatever you're struggling with is what's going to speak with you. So for us, it was leadership. So I came back and I told my team, I don't care how many people you got on your team, you need to start acting like a leader. Treat your business like a business. Make sure you're tracking your BATs. Make sure that you're doing the personal development. We had Dennis Fowler on our call a couple weeks ago, and he was really preaching personal development. And it's true. As soon as I got back from Summit, one of the other things I wasn't doing was personal development. I started reading John Maxwell. I got a group of my guys together that was on my team cup. I got 4 guys that were in my Coach Basis group, and I said, we're going to do a team cup together, and we're all going to hold each other accountable. We did a group text. We text each other our 10 things every day that we're going to do. Every Tuesday night, after our team call, the 4 of us or 5 of us get on a Zoom call, and we go over a chapter from that book every single week. So like tomorrow night, it'll be chapter 5, and we all read our homework or assignments to each other. We all talk about what we took from that chapter 5. And those are the kind of things that I was not doing. I wasn't plugging into my team. I wasn't being there. What I was doing was hand-holding a lot of coaches that were stuck and not doing anything, and I'm just enabling that by just keeping them in a comfortable spot. And some of you that were on the call earlier heard me talk about a very frustrating diamond coach of 7 years, probably 5 years. She's been a diamond coach. So the fact that she's been a diamond coach for 5 years tells you something right there. That means I've been doing a lot of hand-holding and haven't been pushing her and calling her on her stuff, because I've allowed her to sit at diamond for 5 years. And this is a woman who sits there and tells me that she doesn't feel smart enough or think that she's smart enough to be a leader. Yet she's got 2 girls who are her why, and who she wants to be a better mother and be a better role model for her kids. And I'm enabling this woman by not challenging her. So there have been times where I've texted her and like she wants to meet with me. And like after about 3 or 4 times of her wanting to meet with me and her not doing BATs, not plugging in, not doing the homework, not doing anything, there was a time where I had to say, I'm sorry, but I've got to spend my time with the people that are meeting me halfway, because your time is the most valuable asset you have. It's the most important commodity and resource that you have. And if you're spending it with coaches that aren't meeting you halfway, which I was doing a lot of, then you're going to get stuck in the exact rut that I was at Summit. When you're a 3-time elite coach, great. But when your rank's not changing and you're still 5-star in your first business center or 2-star in your second or whatever, and you're not seeing things change, there's a red flag there. There's something that needs to be reexamined. And so I had to kind of pull my head out of my ass a little bit and be like, what's going on? What happened? And I can tell you part of what happened in the last 6 months, and I can look back and I'm like, okay, this is what happened here, and this is what happened here, and you have to reexamine it. And I was reading John Maxwell today in the book that I was reading. He says you have to let your thinking catch up with your emotions. So like when you're feeling those emotions of, whether it's emotions of a rut that you're feeling, or if it's emotions of excitement or whatever those emotions are, or maybe it's stress or it's something that's going on with your family or one of your coaches or whatever, take a moment to kind of step back and get to yourself, get some alone time, meditate on that stuff, and let your thinking catch up to your emotions. And all of a sudden, it's like you have this epiphany of like, okay, here's what I do with this. Here's how I handle this. Here's how I treat this. And if you don't do that, then you're just your life and your business are going to be in a chaos, and it's just going to kind of fall apart. And that's basically what was happening with us. But I'm glad to announce, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer this whole time, but I wanted to be honest and candid with you guys, because I'm telling you, as a guy that's been a coach in this business for 7 years, 3-time elite, all that stuff, that's great. But that doesn't mean anything when you actually pull back the curtains and you actually looked at my leadership skills for the last 1.5 years, and they sucked. And so I'm telling you now that you can fall into that rut if you're not careful. So always, number one, follow your leadership. If you're somebody like Chris, and I don't know Chris's story to the nth degree, but I know Monica is not his personal sponsor, but I know for a fact, based off stories that Monica's told me about Chris Reed, that Chris has used her very strongly as a mentor. And even though he's not one of her personally sponsored coaches, and I'm not trying to speak for you, Chris, or put words in your mouth, but from what I've heard from Monica, that the two of you are very close, just like I am with her, and that I think it's safe to say that you are very thankful to have had her in your business to help you grow to be where you are today. So what I'm telling you guys is, not only do you have an amazing leader in Chris, but let's say you don't like Chris. I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there that may not like him. Find somebody on this team. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be best friends with him. But find somebody on this team that you can connect with as a mentor. If it's not Chris, maybe he's not your cup of tea. Maybe it's Dennis. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's Monica. Who knows? Maybe it's a crossline coach, whatever. But don't ever walk away from this business or quit because you feel like you don't have the leadership or you don't have somebody to talk to about this business, because that falls back on you. And I loved what one of our former mentors said, that I was listening to his audio the other day. And I miss this guy terribly, but, he was talking in this audio the other day, and he's like, I ran into somebody that was in this business with him, and he's like, the guy told him, he's like, I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to quit. And the guy was like, and do what? Like, what are you going to go back to? And I would challenge anybody that's had a coach come up to them and say, I'm thinking about quitting. That's a great question to ask them. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to go back to? Because you've got really nothing to lose by sticking out this business. Quitting this business is not going to solve the problem that's keeping you from growing. Quitting this business is not going to help you achieve the financial goals that you want to achieve in this business. All quitting is going to do is take you back to square one, and it's going to keep you right where you are in the rut that you're in. And I hate to keep quoting John Maxwell, but it's what I'm reading, so it's fresh in my mind. But I love this quote, and I was actually telling Mike Ryan this the other day, and he was like, I got to write that down. The only difference between a rut and a grave is the distance, the length. That's the only difference between a rut and a grave, is the length. And I was like, oh my God, that's some powerful stuff. I was like, I love that. And Mike loved it too. And like, that's one of the quotes I write down, because everybody's like, I'm in a rut. My business is in a rut. I don't have any builders on my team. I don't have, and it's just, if you're sitting there and you don't think you have builders on your team, all you have to do is just start getting back to basics. Start doing the invites. Start doing the follow-ups. And for God's sakes, do your BATs. I'm telling you, since we're talking about the theme of candidness during this call, I hate the BATs. It's a pain in my ass. I'm not a person that likes to track numbers, but I realize it's a necessary evil in this business. And once you accept it and you can actually start doing it, and it's part of treating this like a business, it shows you, just like any other corporation in America, it shows you what you're good at and what you're bad at. And it shows you, like, a lot of us think that we're doing a lot of invites. And a lot of us, I'm sorry, that's a business activity tracker. BAT is business activity tracker. A lot of us think we're good at invites, and we think we're good at follow-ups, and we fool ourselves into thinking that. But when you actually put pen to paper and you start tracking it, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm really not doing this right, or I'm not following up. And before I was doing the BATs, I'll give you a quick story. This is a perfect example. I had a lady reach out to me through Facebook that was interested in coaching. She sent me a Facebook message. This was a time where I was not tracking my BATs and running my numbers. And 2 to 3 weeks go by, and I'm like, oh, crap, I didn't follow up with that lady. And I go to follow up with her, and I'm like, I try to give some BS excuse, like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, I've been busy and all this other stuff. And she's like, it's all right. I've already signed up with another coach. And I just kind of had to look myself in the mirror and go, you know what? I deserve it. There was nothing I could say to that. She did. What was I going to say? Oh, but I'm a better coach. We got a better team. We got Monica Ward. We got Chris Reed. She doesn't care. All she cares about is the fact that I didn't respect her time enough to follow up with her in a timely fashion. And that's what your BAT does. That's what being a leader does. That's the things that forces you. What's amazing is that your leadership skills will get better after you realize that it's just that the pace of the leader is the pace of the pack. So by doing these infinite little mundane things, and I don't remember who it was. Let me plug my Mac in because I'm afraid my battery's going to go dead. It's the mundane things. Like, I don't know who it was that said this, but like, nobody's going to follow us around with a camera crew and make a reality show out of being a Beachbody coach. Like, it's not that exciting tracking your BATs, doing your invites and follow-ups. What is exciting is when you help somebody lose 60 pounds, or you're watching one of your coaches walk across stage at Star Diamond, or you're watching one of your coaches bring a spouse home from work, or you're seeing your kid's college fund grow by tens of thousands of dollars over a period of 2 years. And for every single one of you parents that are on this call, I'm going to say something that's going to hit you like a hammer upside the head. And it's something that I would challenge every single one of you to do that have kids. If you're serious about growing this business to a full-time income, and maybe not all of you are, and that's cool, but for those of you that are, every single night before you go to bed, you should walk after your kids are asleep, right before you go to bed. Walk to the door of your kid's bedroom and just look at them and ask yourself, did I do everything I could do today to help make my dream and their dream come true? And that's one of the most gut-wrenching, honest checks that you can do with yourself on a daily basis, because all of us that are parents know that our kids mean the world to us. And I'm telling you right now, like, when I started, I can't remember where I heard that, but I started sharing that with my team, and I started going to my daughter's room every night, and she's about to turn 14. And I mean, it's like, I've only got a couple years left before she leaves. And like, every night I go to her bedroom and I'm like, did I do everything I could for her kid, for her college fund? Did I do everything I could to bring her mom home, to make her a full, for us to both be full-time coaches? And it's a gut check. It really is a gut check. And I don't know. I kind of rambled a little bit, Chris, and I apologize, but that's kind of what we've been experiencing the last 6 months. And it's been one of the best realizations we've ever had. You want to?
No, that's great stuff. And it's funny because that you talk about reinventing the wheel, because when I was talking at Summit, or when we were getting ready for my presentation at Summit, it was creating high performance coaches, right? And all of the other speakers were like, well, this is what we do, and this is what we do. And it was basically, there's 8 speakers, and there's like almost 8 different versions of the Coach Basics, because, and really what Sandy, what the corporate was trying to do was be like, hey, it's here, don't reinvent the wheel. And what it does, if we try and revamp all of this stuff and make all of this stuff our own, then it really puts another burden on other coaches as they're coming up, whether it's real or not, where they're like, well, man, Todd, he did, he didn't use what corporate gave us. He made his own. So not only do I have to, find, 3 challenge packs a month minimum if I want to make Success Club and all of this other stuff, I got to eventually do all of this extra stuff that Todd's doing when we actually have it there in the back office, and it's all about duplicatability. So that's fantastic stuff, and I know exactly what it is that you're talking about. For me, it was a couple of years ago where, I was like, man, I'm tired of going to Summit and I'm the same rank every freaking year, and so it was just about dialing back in and really figuring out what it is that I wanted to do, and helping enough people, and really understanding that if your people aren't promoting, and they don't want it enough, that maybe you just need to find new people too, right? That's the answer. That's one of the, that's one of the things that it's kind of funny. Like so many people, they come to me and they're like, hey, I'm having trouble with this. What should I do? And my answer to almost everything is, you need to talk to more people. You need to talk to more people. You don't have enough workers. You need to talk to more people. So no, that's exactly right. So you know what? I'll open it up real quick if you got a couple of minutes, Todd, and for questions, and let's see if anybody has anything in particular that they want to add. Let me figure out how to. All right. You know what? You guys can unmute yourself. I'm not going to unmute 31 people. But so if you guys have something, then unmute yourself. Tell us who you are, and then and then say your piece. And if not, then we will wrap things up. And thanks everybody for being on the call. But give you a minute here. You can chat too if you want.
Well, I'll just share one thing in case. Mike Ryan and I were having a private conversation. Well, after he did our team call, he and I were sitting there hanging out on the Zoom, and we were talking. And all of you out there that are on this call, a lot of times you hear Chris say the same things over and over and over again. And that's why it's good to have people come in on your calls. That's why he's doing our call next week. And Dennis, it was funny because Dennis did our call a week or so ago, and he was saying some of the same things that we've said 100,000 times. But all of a sudden, all of our coaches are like, oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's, part of being a leader is checking your ego at the door. It's like, I don't care how you get it, as long as you get it. But Mike and I were talking, and it's like, it's really important in this business to find somebody that has the style and the type of business that you want. And I've always thought, what's your biggest piece of advice for what? What's your biggest piece of advice for new coaches, something you didn't know about this business when you got into it but wish you had? All right, that's actually kind of what I was getting ready to cover. I was sitting there talking to Mike, and Mike was talking about him and Tommy Mingret, and he said one of the best things he ever did was walk away from Wednesdays. And I was like, what are you talking about? What's walk away from Wednesdays? I'm like, is there some call on Wednesday nights that I don't know about that all the coaches are on? And he was like, no. He's like, I just walked away from Wednesdays about the whole rank thing and worrying about getting all the stuff in at midnight on Wednesday night. And the only reason why I'm sharing this is because as you grow this business is that you will get into a rut to where you'll coddle these diamond coaches that you're basically trying to help them hold rank so that you can hold rank when in reality you're not doing them any favors. And Mike looked at me, and because I had 2 diamond coaches that were basically keeping my one business center at 5-star. But if it wasn't for me riding their rear ends 24 hours a day every Wednesday night and me sweating bullets and jumping through hoops for them, that they wouldn't hold rank. And Mike was like, dude, do you realize you're wasting energy on those 2 coaches when you could spend it on other coaches and replace them with new diamonds? And I was like, you know what? You're right. And I'm going to do it. And I walked away from Wednesdays, and I let those 2 diamond coaches fall out of rank. And oddly enough, I've got 2 guys over here on the same leg that are getting ready to pop diamond in the next 30 days, and they're going to be replaced, and I'll be back. And so I'll have a little short period of time where I fall out of rank for like 3 or 4 weeks. But I'd rather do that than, like I said, not be candid and sit here and waste time when these other 2 guys are just thirsty and chomping at the bit and need my time. So like my biggest piece of advice for you new coaches, which is what I just told my Coach Basics team, is as you grow your team, please develop a culture of honesty and candidness. That is the most important thing you can do. You cannot be best friends with all of your coaches to the point to where you can't call them on their stuff when they need to hear it. because you're doing them a disservice. You're keeping them from achieving their dreams financially, physically, however, whatever dreams they have. It affects them, it affects their kids, and it affects you. Your dream and their dream are more important than being afraid to hurt their feelings if it's something that you think they need to hear. And does that make sense, Chris? Or is there another way you would put that?
No, that's it. I mean, I understand exactly what you're talking about.
And like you and Dennis, I mean, I think you guys have always struck me as the kind of guys that are very open and honest and candid. And so like the more I've hung out with you guys and Mike Ryan, and I was listening to Tara Carr and her speech at Summit. It was funny because everybody know who Tara Carr is? I'm assuming most people.
Probably most of them probably do.
You were in the room. Weren't you the presenter for them?
No, I presented with Mindy Winder, but
okay. I thought you introduced, but anyway, Tara Carr was in there with somebody, and I sent Tara Carr a Facebook message after I saw her speak, and I told her, and she said something, which is why I sent her this message. She got up on stage in front of this room full of thousands of people, and she said, "You know what?" She said, "I used to be one of those girls that came to Summit and worried about having the right shoes and having the right dress and worrying about what people thought of me." And she's like, "I finally realized that none of that stuff mattered and that I needed to be the coach that I needed to be for my team and for my family." And I don't remember how else she said it, but she said it. And I was just like, oh my God, I wanted to stand up and just start clapping because Tara was one of these people that when I would hear her speak in the past, and I told her this, so I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say to her. I sent her this message and I said, "I used to have an opinion of you because of the way you once were." And I said, "You blew my mind." And I said, "I just want to congratulate you on whatever epiphany you had when you got up on stage and you're like, you know what? This business is about you and your family and your team. It's not about living a certain lifestyle or putting up a facade of whatever it is that you feel like you got to put up, and being real and being candid." And like, I was like, I love you. Like, I think that was the most amazing thing that you could confess in front of all these people. And she appreciated it. And we started this dialogue, and she's going to end up being on our call. And it's just like, you need to surround yourself in this business with people like Chris and Dennis and Tara and Monica and the people that are the real deal. I'm not saying that there's not all real coaches. Everybody's great. We're all friends and family. But find the ones that you really connect and relate to and follow their lead. And I promise you, especially with Chris and Dennis and these guys, they will never steer you guys wrong. They really won't. Because I've watched them. You're talking about only two couples that have ever made elite together, husband and wife, and it's one right here and Dennis Fowler. Those are and there's some others, but these two couples are the real deal. And you guys are so flipping lucky to have them as leaders on your team. You have no idea. No idea.
No,
so
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that very much. And it is about being real. Like Lauren's question about is you don't want to tell people, hey, they're going to get rich overnight, and you just want to be like, look, I mean, for Lauren, she's, like I said, she's a brand new coach and our top recruiter for the week, right? So she gets it, and she's crushing the workouts too. And that's what it is be real and do it right for you. So other people are going to know that you're going to be able to help them do it right. So, man, that's fantastic stuff, brother.
The last 2 seconds, because you said something that made me think of this. So don't compare yourself to other coaches. Like the leader he's talking about, Lauren, or was that her name, Lauren?
Right.
Yeah. Like if you guys, some of you may feel like, what am I doing? I suck because I'm not doing what she's doing. I used to have the same thing with Josh Spencer. I used to hate Josh Spencer's guts because he and I came into the business at the same time. And I was like, how in the hell is he blowing the business up and I'm still here? If you start falling into that trap of comparing yourself to other coaches, so this is especially for you new guys and girls, you're going to spend so much time, wasted energy on that. Don't ever compare yourself. It's a comparison gap. It's a horrible thing to get caught up in.
Nope, that's exactly right too. And you know what? That's what we're going to end on. Your business is your responsibility, and it moves at the speed that you want it to move at based on the effort that you're putting into it. Right. And so it's not about disappointing somebody else. Right. I mean, I'm sure, you hear it and the rest of us hear it too, where somebody's like, oh, man, I'm sorry, I'm disappointing you. That's not what this is about. We want you to succeed to the level that you're wanting to succeed. So, that's about our time for the night. So I want to tell everybody, thank you so much for being on the call. Thank you very much, Todd, for being on the call with us, on our inaugural official Zoom team call as we move over. So thank you very much, and thanks everybody, and we will see you on the boards.
See you guys.